What's cooking? What's poppin', everybody? My name is Pad Chennington. Some of you may know me as YouTube's Vaporwave valedictorian, and today I'm stepping in for the Melon Man while he's doing his thing on tour, and I'm here to talk to you about none other than that sweet, dusty, good old Vaporwave. Yeah, we're talking about 7 great Vaporwave albums that do an excellent job at really giving you a taste of what there is to offer in the Vaporwave scene today. Now, I know most people will immediately recognize Macintosh Plus's Floral Shop and a couple of other well-known classics, let's say like Echo Jam's Volume 1 or the Blank Banshee releases, but we're not going to talk about those today. Today, I'm giving you some hand-picked 7 releases that I believe are just the perfect, party sampler. Nice little appetizer. That'll really give you whatever you're in the mood for and really paints what's going on in the scene. And if you like this video, please feel free to check out and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Pad Chennington, where I talk about all things Vaporwave. Alright, anyway, let's get this show on the road. Alright, so first up to the plate, let's start off with what many, including myself, believed to be one of the tightest Vaporwave releases so far this year in 2019. I'm talking about Dan Mason's Hypnagogia. Florida producer Danny Mason is nothing short of an absolute fan favorite, cherished by many for his diverse discography, a timeline of releases that really show Dan's originality and creativity on what was hot or popular during that time in the scene, from irony to integrity. Here, Danny has created something truly fresh and organic, all while still carrying some of those attributes we've come to expect in a Vaporwave release. We see some emotional and cloudy vocals on Hypnagogia, which is always fun to see in Vaporwave, artists who try their hand at live production and recordings, and he glazes everything with chilly synths shrouded in a coat of reverb and just subtle flangers all over this thing. A really nice duo between his voice and instrumentation, making the entire track list a tight-knit, universal listening experience of relaxing, moody, lonely sounding tunes. I mean, this man is getting straight up emotional on here. Tracks like Stop Me are absolutely atmospherically chilling. Haunting piano keys trickling over a bass of warm synths, all playing for Dan's crooning vocal leads to embellish the empty sounding serenity Dan tries to throw at us. There's even some screamo on here towards the end, definitely pretty unique for a Vapor related release. If you're a fan of chillwave and more somber, less sugary shoegaze style releases, Hypnagogia is right up your alley. Next up at bat, let's completely change the vibe here and take a trip down the avenue of future funk. For those who don't know, future funk is a branch of Vaporwave that is all about music to complement those bright sunny days, ecstatic grooves that sample 70s and 80s disco, R&B, Japanese city pop, and all giving it this production style that'll keep you dancing from morning to night. From simpler times like Saint Pepsi's beloved classic hit Vibes in 2013, Young Bay's warm and sunny Bay back in 2014, and some of the releases we have heard in the present day, we have seen future funk go from simple basic sample manipulation to a showcasing of out of control, out of this world sample chopping fun. Both sides of the spectrum equally exciting, and they're always providing you with a feel good time any way you look at it. Today I'm giving you a treat though, baby, because I want to introduce you to my favorite future funk release of all time. Canadian producer Ev.exi's 2017 EP titled Remember, a collection of 7 tracks many consider to be some of the best, most original future funk ever produced. If you're a fan of that Daft Punk discovery vibe, that French house vibe that always gets you feeling some type of way, do not miss out on giving this release a listen. From unpredictable stutter chops, jolting phasers, and exciting effects peppering over each and every second on here, hammering drums, crunchy electric bass lines, and a deconstruction of the samples EB uses and then brings them back to life in his own way, Remember is just straight up colorful, it's original, energetic, and an unavoidable fiesta starter. The third track on here, Mode, is arguably my favorite future funk track ever made. It has this super sweet like time change drop halfway through the song that always hits me right in the gut. No matter how many times I listen to this shit, it's still like listening to it for the first time. Ev.exi also had a feature on my latest album release titled Contrast back in February, and working with him, I really got to see the potential this killer has in making something undoubtedly infectious. Ev.exi's signature sound is easily recognizable in the scene, and I cannot give enough praise to this artist and the Remember EP. Please, please, please give this thing a listen. You will not regret it. So many of you who stay up to date with Anthony and follow his videos, the name George Clanton may definitely ring a bell. Founder of the treasured 100% electronica record label and musician who has produced under a variety of musical names, George's impact on the vaporwave scene and how he has grown from it has been absolutely beautiful to watch. Fantano has done a review on his most recent album Slide that has seen some incredible success for Clanton, and also had the opportunity to interview him. A great watch for anyone interested in seeing the two discuss the current vaporwave meta and a variety of other topics along the way. Anyway, today I want to talk about an album George released a couple years back that portrayed humble instances of that warbly, synth-heavy habitat George is known for creating today. His efforts to create a dreamy, vapory landscape with a unique attitude is seen wonderfully on his 2014 classic release, Virtua.zip. George delivers your eardrums a mellow, instrumentally blissful handful of songs, soothing in nature but animated with its buzzing lo-fi undertones. Compared to a lot of the vaporwave that was coming out at the time, this thing definitely stood out as a hearty and meaty release. There's a lot of things going on here, and it definitely gives us this unique flair and flavor to the whole thing. You just knew George was going to be something. And we all know vaporwave is nothing without those damn aesthetics, and Virtua.zip is perfect for those who love that over-the-top 3D polygon rendered video game nostalgic artwork we have come to see time and time again paired with vaporwave releases. From a track list straight up looking like you discovered it while unzipping some folder of unused sound bites on an old PC CD-ROM game, Clanton gives us an entire package of vaporwave goodness we can all still enjoy even to this day. A fun release that isn't overly ambitious or animated, the laid-back Virtua.zip knows exactly what it is and is a perfect release for newcomers who want to dip their feet into the waters of vaporwave. I highly recommend checking out the 2016 reissue of the album that adds a couple bonus tracks on there to really give you everything this era of George Clanton has to offer. Alright everybody, buckle them seatbelts up, because next I want to present to you what is, in my opinion, one of the greatest, most ambitious vaporwave related projects ever assembled. I'm talking about Death's dynamic shroud. Producers Tech Honors and James Webster have been creating side by side as DDS for years now, always keeping you on your toes as you listen to them. They're prepared to hit you with a emotionally dysfunctional curveball at any possible moment with their wacky, bizarre, odd, and sometimes, actually not sometimes, most of the time, unsettling instances of musical experimentation. If you've heard of them before, you definitely know what I'm talking about. Actually, you know what? Scratch that. You don't even really listen to the music of DDS, or at least listen to them in a more traditional sense, but more so you observe the music of Death's dynamic shroud as it constantly is shape-shifting and morphing from measure to measure. You become a bystander to their tracks that have a tendency to crumble and distort before your very ears. One album in particular that I believe to be one of their most hidden gems, less discussed, is this weird looking thing right here that they dropped in 2014, which translates to World War Olympics. Now, on my YouTube channel, time and time again, you'll always find me saying how much I love an album's ability to warp me into a different time and setting, and this album may be one of the very best to ever do that for me. With such an unsettling concept behind it all, an album that presents this idea of some worldwide event happening in the future where nations of the world battle it out to reign as the one lone supreme country on planet Earth, these songs are feverishly inescapable with its eerie, marching-like melodies that blend into opposing angelic samples, just creating this sound. It's just like so against each other, and you just can't really trust it because it's like so creepy, and then all of a sudden it gets really pretty, and then like it breaks in like a matter of seconds. It's pretty wild. At times it sounds beautiful, but you know at any second it could get all warped and ominous, and I love every second of this. Also, there's that Rocky IV Ivan Drago sample on this shit. It's just pretty funny. The disturbing bellowing sounds of World War Olympics undeniably creates this dreadful imagery of such dire world events taking place. It's impossible to run away from, as in this fictional timeline we will inevitably all become victims of the aftershocks this World War Olympics will bring upon our planet. Yeah, I can really go on and on about the imagery this album creates for me, but I'm gonna let you experience it for yourself, so I'll shut up, enjoy your time with it, but be careful as you explore the vast boundaries of Death's dynamic shroud. Leaving the mysterious world of Death's dynamic shroud behind, let's jump into a more fun, joyful side of what is to be found in today's world of Vaporwave. My next pick is 3D Blast's Iconic Bitch, which actually came out only a couple weeks ago, but is already shaping up to be one of the freshest releases we've seen so far in 2019. Iconic Bitch is nothing short of vapor funk glory. It falls into this perfect median between the sometimes overdone 128 BPM future funk formula, and on the other side, the aura of just creepy, overly drawn out, super extended traditional vaporwave, like intoxicating reverb shit like that. 3D Blast's latest release here picks and chooses from each side of that spectrum, just a little bit from each one, and kind of gives you this concoction that benefits from the best of both worlds, keeping the entire track list diverse and full of personality. Each track is loaded with jovial melodies, funky instruments, and clever samples, making this whole release a groovy backbone to anything you may be doing during the day, from working out to writing an essay. The first two tracks on here, Beyond Nostalgia and Ruby, let me tell you, these will be on repeat for me for a very, very long time. Catchy vocal loops blended with a variety of other ingredients, painting these tracks to reside in a punchy, brightly colored world reminiscent of like the levels in Chameleon Twist 2 or something. Also, Vaporwave's sexy bad boy Frank Jaffsey, I'm talking Frank the Tank, makes an appearance on this album as a feature on the track Talk to Me. Many of you may recognize this boy as he's been featured on Fantano before, I believe, like a while ago. I think they did an interview. And he's also opening up for Anthony on one of his shows during the tour, I believe. So yeah, Iconic Bitch, pretty sweet. Fun time for the whole family, can't go wrong. Next up to the plate, let's talk about one of my favorite releases from 2018 that has grown on me so much as time has gone by. I'm talking about To You Baby With Love by Australian producer TUPPERWAVE. Now, Pad Chennington will always have this spot in his heart for that classic style, OG sounding vaporwave. I think a lot of us do. We try to hide it sometimes and get all edgy that we're trying to move on, but come on, it's fun. It's a production style that relies heavily on keeping the integrity of the original samples used to create the track and then just complementing them with simple touches like light drum work and delicate effects. This album right here really demonstrates the like 2013 to 2015 era of classic sounding vapor wonderfully. Heavenly saxes, side chaining that'll tickle your ears, splashy drums that sound like they're swimming in a jacuzzi with like Sega Dreamcast graphics water in it. Like this album is so goddamn tasty. The 10-song track list of To You Baby With Love is hazily nostalgic. It'll have you reminiscing of a past lover or soulmate that never even existed, your time together traveling the endless roads of a coastal highway in the middle of the summer, a cherry red 2-seater convertible that only has one cassette in it, and it's this album right here. Each track has this soulful energy. It takes its time with you, cooking up vocal harmony samples on the track Empty Bliss, or hypnotizing you with that scrumptious side-chaining kick drum I mentioned before, very dominantly on the introductory track Excuses featuring Meltnet. Upon hearing the album drop for the first time, it immediately drew comparisons to one of the most classic vaporwave releases ever dropped, Winner's Circle by Shopping World and St. Pepsi, released on the once legendary, now defunct Fortune 500 label back in 2013. Listen to You Baby With Love and then listen to the track Car Park or the track Private Caller on Winner's Circle and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Ladies and gents, last but not least, I want to share with you my favorite vaporwave album of all time, an album that was one of the first ones I've ever heard upon discovering the world of vaporwave for myself. And from the names of the tracks on here to the production style, the artwork, and the aesthetic, everything about this album portrays what vaporwave is and always has been to such a degree, such a perfect degree, you can literally taste the setting this album strives to bring to life on your tongue. I am, of course, talking about the glorious classic Yes, We're Open by the artist Groceries. Nostalgia obviously plays a big role in Vaporwave, and it is albums like Yes, We're Open that bring back memories that we kind of forgotten or don't usually try to think about or go out of our way to remember when we're strolling down memory lane. I think we can all remember times when we were young and would go to the supermarket or like Home Depot or some shit with our parents, and because we were soaking in the world around us like sponges at that time in our lives, gigantic department stores or big ass supermarkets with virtually endless aisles of shelves and colors of products and all that stuff, at least to me, it was just nothing short of magical. When I was little, I would go with my grandfather to my local Pathmark food store early in the morning once a week, and it seemed like we were always the only ones there as light jazz and R&B music played throughout the store with an echoing effect from its cheap speaker system, the occasional sale announcement blurting in, cutting off the music every once in a while, walking behind him with my Game Boy in one hand trying to beat the Elite Four while the other hand is grabbing all the coupon tickets from that magical red coupon machine scattered throughout the store. Yeah, I know you remember what I'm talking about. These places were megascapes, and at that age, I just couldn't fathom how they worked. I don't know, maybe I was just overthinking for my age, but it was just mind-blowing to me. How did this place even exist? How could one place have so many different things in one location? How the hell do you have broccoli and then a couple footsteps away you got Kool-Aid jammers? The shit, it didn't make sense. Yes, We're Open is a mall soft style release that brings me back to those times with such vivid attention to detail. I can't give this album enough justice in my own words. You have to listen to this thing with some good headphones and you will go on a trip and a half. This is a time machine, this album. What at first may seem like nothing short of a comedic idea, Yes, We're Open ventures into one of the most memorable instances of Vaporwave that you can ever hear. An abstract critique of consumerism, all done through the filters of shiny textures, flooding reverb, and distant sample choices that really replicate the experience of being in a gigantic supermarket right at its opening hours. A virtual reality ride that takes you through the cold temperatures of walking through the dairy section to asking for a sample of yellow American cheese, sliced thin of course. Yes, We're Open is one of those just super powerful releases to ever come out in the scene. And if there's one album I would really recommend to anyone that really just does the job well and just showcases what Vaporwave is all about, I'll always hit them with this legendary release. Alrighty everyone, there you have it. My 7 picks of great Vaporwave albums and releases that will really diversify your aesthetic portfolio. And as I mentioned before, if you like this video, please check out and show some love to all the artists and albums mentioned in the video, as well as checking out and subscribing to my YouTube channel, Pad Chennington. And before I go real quick, a huge shout out and thank you to you, Anthony Fantano. Melon was one of my biggest influences when I was coming up and starting to make YouTube videos and discussing music. And if it really wasn't for him, I don't think I would have ever tried as hard to kind of build an audience and just constantly put out videos. So yeah, being able to just put a video on your channel is absolutely a dream come true, and I cannot thank you enough. But for real though, listen, I know he's scared to get his Pac-Man's ass whooped in some Smash, but we'll talk about that another day. Though I'm gonna let you go, Melon. Alrighty everyone, thanks again so much, and thank you Antoine Fantano. I love you, baby. Much love, your boy, Pad Chennington.